So good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope you're all well rested, ready to start an amazing new day. Today's video is going to be about the relationship between depression, anxiety, and avoidance. And you've heard me talk in the past about depression and anxiety, and how depression is how you're living in the past, and anxiety is how you're living in the future. Well, today I'm adding avoidance into the mix because that makes a little bit of a triangle dynamic here, where avoidance continues the circle of depression, anxiety, and avoidance. So I'll get to that in a little bit. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is KuanYin. I'm here uploading for you guys 3 times a week. Mondays is a card pull reading to get a feeling for the week, where I use my intuition and go in and come up with some message that perhaps Spirit wants to bring forth for the week. Wednesdays is a topic of my choice, usually around abundance or self-development or mental health. And Fridays is usually a fun Friday video, something that I choose to do just for fun. And lately I've been playing around on my editing on the Friday videos and learning how to edit, and it's been fun. Alright, so if you like this sort of thing, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel down below if you're not already, and hit that notification bell. That's what will get you notified when I do these videos, because sometimes YouTube lately has been not promoting videos of subscriptions unless you have that notification bell hit. Alright, so all that being said, let's get into the video. Depression, anxiety, avoidance, that wonderful triangle. What is it? Well, depression, you've heard me say before, depression is living in the past. You're not depressed about something that's not already happened yet. You're depressed about things that have already happened. You're depressed because of how you feel that you've done in the past. And where anxiety works in its way here is you think that's going to continue into the future. Anxiety is living in the future. Now, they do go hand in hand, okay? So depression lives in the past, anxiety lives in the future, but they hold hands and they shake all the time. All right, so anxiety is worry over the future. And you've heard me say this time and again, one of the ways to help get out of the past, get out of the future, is to be here now. All right, so it's not a cure-all, it's not a be-all, end-all, and it's something you have to work over time at doing. When you notice that you're dwelling in the past or you're anxious over the future, learning to come back to center now, which is the only time that really exists. Helping to relieve, that helps to relieve some of that anxiety and that depression. Everyone has their coping techniques that they've learned over time in their life. And most of us have some deep programming that is unhealthy coping techniques. And that can dip into addictions, it can dip into avoidance, it dips into passive aggressiveness. There's a whole long list of coping techniques that I don't label them as good or bad, because in the past they worked for you, at least somewhat, and that's how they attached themselves to you. And somehow in our subconscious we feel that they will continue working for us. You know, our ego says this worked, so it's how we have to handle this from now on. Just touching briefly on the topic of addiction. Addiction is a disease, but addiction is less so a disease and more the medicine for the true disease of trauma. People who get addicted usually get addicted because of trauma. They're usually avoiding something. And addictions are like one of the biggest avoidance techniques there is. So how do the 3 of these work together, depression, anxiety, and avoidance? Well, depression, you know, I'm a failure. Look at all the things I've failed at in the past. Okay, I've got this thing coming up, but I'm a failure. I've done all this failing in the past. So this thing coming up, I'm going to fail. So I get anxious. I don't want to face this because I don't want to do it. I don't want to go through that again because I've gone through it in the past and I've always failed, so I am a failure. All right, so I'm going to avoid it. And I go to my Netflix and my wine, and I just binge a whole bunch of drama on Netflix. And for a little while, I feel good. But then the Netflix series ends at a cliffhanger, and the next one's not out yet. And I'm left dwelling on the past. I'm left with these feelings of inadequacy. That's the cycle, and that's how the cycle perpetuates itself. But is Netflix always bad? Coming home after a hard day of work and grabbing a glass of wine once in a while and sitting on the couch and binge watching your favorite show, is that bad? No. It could be simply coming home and relaxing after a hard day of work. So how do you know whether it's that or whether you're avoiding? Well, what you need to ask yourself if you want to know the answer to that is, why am I binge watching this Netflix? Is it because I just left off on a cliffhanger last night and I need to see how it ends, and I had this hard day at work and I just want to relax and enjoy my evening? And, you know, I've worked hard for this. I deserve it. Okay? And when I'm done watching the Netflix, oh, that was so satisfying. I'm so glad that I was able to do that. And now I'm ready to do all the things I need to do to get ready for bed. I'm ready to cook my dinner. And I'm excited about cooking my dinner. And I'm ready to get ready for bed and hop into bed. And I get a good night's sleep because I'm all rested up. Or show ends. Now I'm back in real life. And I haven't eaten yet. I don't know if I want to eat because I really don't want to cook. Maybe I'll just grab a sandwich, but I don't even want to make a sandwich. Maybe I'll just grab the bread, you know, just to satisfy that. Or if eating is your avoidance technique, maybe just shoving your face full instead of cooking yourself a nice healthy meal. And you feel depressed and lethargic and not wanting to complete your daily tasks, and perhaps not even wanting to go to bed, or perhaps just wanting to go into bed and stay there. Another avoidance technique. How does avoidance do this to us? How does avoidance lead us into more depression and anxiety? All right, well, avoidance is narrowing the emotional window. So how does avoidance do this to us? How does avoidance deepen our depression and anxiety and help continue that cycle? Avoidance does this by narrowing our emotional window. So, these are our emotions. Let's say this half of the paper is all our positive emotions, and this half is all our negative emotions, or what we label as positive and negative, okay? So, we're coming home and we're really not wanting to deal with all the stuff ruminating in our minds, you know. Perhaps we really do have a really tough life and all this stuff, and I just don't want to think about it tonight. Grab that wine, put on the Netflix. Orange is the New Black. That's one of my favorites. And for a while, we ignore all the bad. We just chop it right off. And for a while, we're focused on the good. What happens when Netflix ends? Our window is narrower, but now our happy zone is over here, and our sad zone is over here. We still have the emotions, it's just a narrower window. And the next night we come home from work, we still have the same problems. We grab some more wine, maybe it's 2 or 3 glasses now, and we sit down and perhaps we binge watch some Breaking Bad. All right. And notice what I'm doing here. I'm ruminating, binge watching someone else's problems, but I'm putting more trauma and stress and anxiety and drama into my brain. So that's what my brain is focused on, even if it is someone else's for a while. And for a while, the bad disappears again, and we're left with only the good half of our feelings until the show ends. And then we've narrowed our window some more. And now this is the good half, and this is the bad half, or what we label it as such. The next night we come home, do the same thing. And now our good is the size of our pinky, and we think our bad is that small too. But we truly know that our negative emotions, our depression, our anxiety are not just as big as our pinky. We do know that, right? Because when the show ends, what happens? We get put back in the real world, and we're still feeling lethargic, depressed, anxious, and we just don't want to do anything. And things that used to give us joy no longer give us joy because we've narrowed our joy window down so much. So it used to give us pleasure, perhaps simple little enjoyment in life, like taking our dog for a walk. Okay, so it used to give us joy. We'd get out in the fresh air, and as he's sniffing around and enjoying life and examining all the scents and seeing what smells are under that leaf and pissing on it. But he has joy, and we get joy through walking him and, opening our eyes to the joy in life, in nature like that. But now walking our dog, it's just another chore. Do I really need to go? I'll just put him in the backyard today. He can go do his business and come back. It's just too much for me to handle right now. So that's called anhedonia. When we lose the joys in life, when we no longer get joy out of things that used to give us pleasure. Cooking, finding something on the internet, a unique, fun meal that we wanted to try out, and going out and buying all the ingredients and coming home and cooking it up and seeing how it turns out. Even if it turns out like crap, it still was fun to do. At least we used to think so. Now it's just another chore to have to find something to throw down our throat every night for dinner. So we lose the joys that used to give us life. And why is that? Why is it that we seem to be dwelling more and more in anxiety and depression as we do more and more avoidance? Because our pleasure cuts down to this. We think our pain cuts down to this, but it doesn't. What we thought we threw away is all still there, perfectly intact. And now our pleasure is the size of our pinky. Nice blue, bright, sunny skies is about the size of our pinky. And our pain that we dwell in, our pain is all the rest of this. So this is what we do when we avoid. We narrow our pleasure window. We narrow our emotional window, thinking we're cutting off all the pain. And then it all comes back because it doesn't really truly disappear. Walking the dog is on this half of the paper. Like walking the dog is pleasure over right here on the old scale. This is the center of the old scale right here. So walking the dog used to give us pleasure here, but now it's in the things we avoid category. Cooking that meal, going out and buying special ingredients to try out, used to be over here, and now it's in the things we avoid. That's anhedonia, and that's narrowing our tolerance for emotions and using avoidance. So is this video all about bad news? No, of course not. There's good news with this too. There's ways to get the joy back into life. Okay, let's recolor our little color scheme here and put the joy back into our life. And yeah, it's going to be green because yellow and blue make green. It's going to be different shades of blue, yellow, and green. But the joy is back. All right, the joy can come back, okay? And how can we do that? There's 3 things that are important to help get the joy back. All right, number 1 is to remember the things that used to give you joy and reignite that passion. All right, so I really don't feel like doing it tonight, but okay, Fido, I'm going to put you on the leash and go for a walk instead of tossing you in the backyard for the 10th day in a row, because I know you really enjoy these walks, and maybe if I get out there in nature and give you a walk and see how joyful you are with this simple pleasure, maybe it can help reignite that spark of joy that I used to feel with that, and I can totally immerse in the now, forgetting the past, forgetting the future, and just being here now as I'm walking you, Fido, and seeing you explore all of life, and I can explore all of life with you. And slowly over time, doing that consistently will help bring that joy back. Calling up an old friend. I used to call up my old best friend all the time, and we used to talk, and if I was down, she'd cheer me up, and I'd hear about her problems, or I'd hear about the latest good thing that happened to her, and I'd be able to tell her all the things that, I just took my dog for a walk, and he found the funniest thing on our walk, and he played with this leaf, and, shooting the breeze with my best friend again. And I don't want to do that now because, I'll feel awkward. I don't really know what to say, and I'm not really in the mood. Calling her up anyway and working through that awkwardness and getting back into the joy of talking to your best friend or cooking your fine meal. All right. Maybe today going to the store and buying all the ingredients might be too much, but let's see what I've got in my fridge. Peanut butter, bread, and eggs. What can I experiment with peanut butter and bread and eggs? Well, I can make French toast, and if I really want to get weird, I can try to make like a peanut sauce to put on the French toast. I don't know. But I can experiment a little bit with cooking because I used to love experimenting with cooking and just seeing how it turns out. And even if it tastes horrible, then at least I've tried and I can give myself a good laugh and perhaps reigniting the joy of cooking. All right, so that's number 1, reignite old passions and remember things that used to bring you joy. Do them and immerse yourself in the process, in the now of doing it. Number 2, getting out in nature. Walk that dog some more. Yes, I'm telling you to walk your dog for number 2 and for number 1. But seriously, getting out in nature and just enjoying nature, looking around you, perhaps walking barefoot in your yard if that's safe, if you're in a place where you can do that. Feeling the grass under your feet, that does wonders. It's not an immediate thing, but over time, the more you touch the earth with your bare feet, the more she can nourish you. We all need a little bit of nature. That's why camping is such a good feeling, because we're getting back to nature. We're closer to the earth when we're in that tent or even the cabin. All right, so go sit on your patio for a little bit and enjoy some fresh air. Or take your coffee out to your front porch in the morning. Hug a tree. All right, so with getting out in nature, I'm also going to mention exercise and taking care of our body, eating right, getting the hydration, getting good rest, all of that. And this video goes along with my Monday video where I discuss the energies for the week. And the first card I pulled was to take care of our bodies, to get back to the basics of taking care of the bodies. Number 3, this one's probably the one that will do the most good. And I see your eye rolls already. All right, but this is very underrated in a lot of places, and it can't be stressed enough. Meditate. All right, you knew that was coming, didn't you? But the thing about the window is we need to learn to get comfortable with this side of ourselves, okay? We all have good and bad feelings. And the more we avoid, the more we're cutting off the good. We think we're cutting off the bad, but we're really just cutting off the good. To widen the window back up and be able to expand the good, we need to learn to tolerate the bad without avoidance. So sitting for just 5 minutes with our feeling every day. 5 minutes with our emotions every day. Just sitting and learning to accept. Right now I'm feeling this. Right now I have blah, 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 my mind going a million miles a minute with all my problems. Okay, how does that make me feel? Where in my body do I feel this tension? My shoulders are hunched. My stomach is all in knots. And my heart might be going like this as I'm thinking about that landlord knocking on my door tomorrow morning. All right, so I'm feeling it in my shoulders, I'm feeling it in my stomach, I'm feeling it in my heart. I might have a headache, okay, from all of this. So this is where I'm feeling it. I accept these feelings. I'm breathing into the tight areas and relaxing those tight muscles. My stomach is still all in knots. And I'm just accepting it and sitting with it and allowing this feeling. And sitting in meditation isn't pretty or clean. Our minds don't automatically go clean slate. That's the point of meditation. Our minds can still be going like this, but as long as we're just sitting and acknowledging that and allowing the mind to do what it wants, if that's what we need to do, if that's what we can do, learning to tolerate the mind doing this, learning to tolerate the stomach like this, and learning to allow those feelings to come in so that they can work their way out. If we avoid, we're bringing it in and pushing it down into a tight little knot and shoving it down where it stays. And that's where it builds up, not leaving room for joy in our life. So, you know, the paper is a nice little tool to show you, but you are the paper. So as you allow the tensions to build and you avoid them and they get shoved down even tighter down inside you and they build up some more and you shove them down even tighter, you've got this tight little mass somewhere in your body. And by bringing awareness to where you feel that tightness, shows you where you need to do the work. So meditation, can't stress it enough. Get started even if you can only tolerate 30 seconds a day, 1 minute a day, 3 minutes a day, increasing that time every day of just sitting and being with your feelings. That is the true work that will help you get the joy back in life. Alright, so thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got some useful stuff out of it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I did a video this Monday that helps describe the feelings for the week. And the very first card I pulled was Back to Basics, Taking Care of Our Bodies. And I found that video very appropriate for today's video topic as well. So I'll link you to Monday's video. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you like this sort of thing, you can subscribe to my channel if you're not already, hitting that notification bell. And I love you guys so very much. I hope that you go out and enjoy the rest of your day. Go walk your dog. He's looking for some loving. And love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Namaste. Taking our walk for a dog. See the eyes through the world of our dog. I'm a little dyslexic today. All right, seeing the world through the eyes of our dog. All right, so if you like this sort of thing, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to my channel down below, and I'm burping.